Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the Saturday Morning RPG Show. My name is Jordan with the silent PH in the middle, and I'm joined by no one. So today we're going to have a fun solo show. I kind of got everything set up best I could, so we'll see how well this works. Welcome and thank you. This will be a little different-ish, I guess, just because it's solo, but the topic I wanted to talk about today was... and I'm trying to keep the chat open. Let me actually move the chat. Let's pop out chat. And then I can move it over here in case all y'all's chat to me, because, you know, it's like a live thing. And now I need to remember what it was that the name of the thing. So I have been reading a lot of Planegea. And there it is, Ryan Holiday. I gotta remember this. Note card system. Okay, so I have been reading about the Ryan Holiday note card system. And this, I don't think, was invented by Ryan Holiday. It's actually just a note card system that a lot of people do. But the idea is you read a book, and you mark it, like you put down, and this is any book for like a project or just for fun or things like that. But when you find something cool, you underline it, you highlight it, or you tag it with a note so that you know this is something that resonated with you or stuck out. And then you're telling your brain, I want to remember it. So I was watching this video and I'm like, that's a really cool idea. I wonder how I can use this for RPGs. And it kind of coincided with me trying to create a Planegea campaign. So now when I am going through all of my Planegea stuff here, I've been reading Planegea and forming a 6-session-ish campaign because I want to run something in the world of Planegea, but I'm not entirely sure how long or what, but like I want to experience this more than just kind of like reading about a campaign setting. And so I have my trusty notebook here, and whenever I came across something that I'm like, oh, I could use that, I would write it down in my notebook. And that is fine, fine and dandy, and I'm sure lots of people enjoy doing that. But the idea of writing it on a note card is so at the end of your note card-ness, you will have a box full of various note cards, and it's a lot easier to flip through those and be like, oh yeah, and I'll grab one, like, oh yeah, like this idea, and then I'm gonna link it up with this idea, and then you can kind of arrange them out on a table and see what connections are making there. So it's nothing new. I'll put the YouTube video that I saw in the comments, and I'll put it in the chat as well. But it's interesting. Like, I thought this was just a really cool idea of doing a campaign. And then after the campaign, or even during, while you're playing, like if something interesting happens, like, oh, my party decided to name, they found a random beast and they're really fixated on it. I could like write that down, and then later that day go through that note card and be like, how do I link this? But I have all of these other note cards to kind of link to this. And it reminds me of index card RPG, in the sense that the word of index cards. So specifically with index card RPG, at the beginning he wrote, why would I call this thing index card RPG? And he's like, index cards have helped me more than any other tool for RPGs, both like design and play and organization and things like that. And so he lists like, this is a magical thing, like the note card, the index card, and you should utilize that. And that got me thinking like, oh my gosh, we should do more of that. So hello, welcome, Ed Carey. So today, this is pretty casual. I don't have like a rock solid, aside from going to the wrong button. But I do have, here we are. Here's the desktop that I wanted. So I do have my Notion Planegea page, and I just copied this, so it has some things that are wrong, like Shadowfell outline, because this is not the outline for the Shadowfell. This is the Planegea outline. And I want to erase some of these. So I really like Notion for organization. And if you look at this, like I have things like NPCs and organizations and stuff. And these are copied from Sly Flourish has a Notion template that I copied, and then I've modified it from there. But it allows me to like make session archives and keep notes and stuff. I have Scratchpad for various things. Stars and wishes are like, what does players want? So players you just ask them, like, what are your wishes? And what do you want to see, kind of a thing? How would you like the game to progress? And some players will tell you, some players won't tell you, but they'll go through and say, I'm thinking of some of my players where they're like, I want a robe of the Archmage. And it's like, well, that's not it. But like, I really want my character to interact with their mother. And it's like, well, who's your mother? And so you start pulling these things, and so stuff like that. But again, all of these could be index cards, and there's something about physically writing down the stuff that really helps resonate rather than typing in this. Because even the people that I was watching, they were saying like, hey, this is a really great system. Why don't you put it into OneNote or some other like database software? And then you can cross-reference everything with tags and find it really easy. But we're getting into a type of information surge where forcing you to slow down is sometimes better than having everything at your fingertips all at once. And I think about going through and pulling, or I just think about like how overwhelmed we are sometimes with options. And if you say, hey, we're going to have a campaign, but we're only going to be, I'll use the Drow in the Underdark. We're only going to be Drow, and we're going to be in the Underdark. So you have to play a Drow. It's going to be like this. And it's like, okay, well now it's, I know I at least have to do this, and I have less options to choose from. And I have a problem to solve. How do I make my Drow Warlock fit into this world of this, rather than just coming at it like a metagamer and being like, all right, I'm picking this because I want a fire breath, and I'm picking this, and I'm picking this because I want all of this other stuff. It kind of just makes sense to do it. Or I think it helps players, and it helps the GM be like, okay, what's the problem we have to accomplish? And the problem is, how do I fit my character into this world for this adventure? Planegea is fun like that. So I started writing a brief little notebook thing. And let me see if I can find it, actually. I'll pull it over if I can. Well, I know where it is, so hang on. Let me find it. And welcome, Sky. Good morning. I was going to have a guest today, but they did not feel well this morning. And so I opted for them to get better. And they said, okay. So they did that. Okay. So this is also something I stole from Sly Flourish. And he is a big fan of one-pagers. And so a one-pager is something you send to your players and say, hey players, I want to run this, let me know what you think. And it's a way to get them kind of excited for the adventure. I don't know if this resonated well with my players. My players I need to get them in like a central chat room or something. None of them are on Discord. I don't like Facebook, but I need to get them together so that we can talk about, things like that. But I said, like, the theme of it is Planegea is a primal fantasy world. Cursed painted cave. Dungeon means cursed painted caves. There aren't taverns of safety. There aren't libraries or kingdoms. There's just survival. So one of the big themes is survival. And then the black taboos. So Planegea is kept primitive because of these powerful forces known as the Hounds of the Blind Heaven. And they will apparently come and devour you if you break one of these. So one of them is writing. If you create any kind of written word, like that escalates people beyond their primitive self, then the hounds will come and kill you. You're not allowed to count things higher than the number 9. So anything after 9 is titled many. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, many. How many yards away is that? It is many yards. How much time will it take for us to travel over there? Many days. And so you don't get to know, you don't get a sense of numeric value with things. And then no wheels and no currency. So everything is trade. Now, the interesting thing is I think that the Black Taboos and the Hounds of the Blind Heaven are the real things in Planegea. But I was almost thinking of playing it as that is the superstition that keeps us all in check. So when players are like, or just this idea, like you've always believed this, you don't know, like you've never seen a Hound of Blind Heaven, and nobody breaks the rules because why would they? Because they don't want to risk death. And you're more you're more obsessed with your survival than you are with like experimenting with the Hounds of the Blind Heaven. And I don't know, I think that's kind of an interesting idea. And so then I have like your character in the world. We're going to start in the Great Valley, and they're going to be, again, part of the Bear Clan, the Lion Clan, or the Ape Clan. So, do I have, yeah, Planegea poster. So this is the world of Planegea, and it's like this, I just love this because it's all the planes of existence kind of like crunched together. When I say planes of existence, really, I mean the elemental planes. Coffee break. So the elemental planes, so we have these different, like, you know, water, air, empire, and then fire, and everybody was in harmony until the Fire Nation attacked. In the center of this, we have the Great Valley, and this is just like a nice little fertile crescent kind of area where humans and other creatures have come to live. And so even though we have like the Ape Clan, the Bear Clan, and the Lion Clan, which is kind of like the three great nations, they do work together, they do war sometimes, but for the most part, survival of your neighbor is also survival for you. These guys could be competing for resources, but at the same time, everybody's out to, or all the monsters of the world are out to hunt and kill you. So sticking together and having the numbers of a herd, in a way, like that's what clans are. They're safety. So you want to be part of a clan to be there. And I thought, since this is also an introductory adventure for me and for the party, the Great Valley is a great place, to start a clan or start a campaign. And so our players will be able to choose, do they want to be part of the Bear Clan, the Lion Clan, or the Ape Clan? And that's part of this. Like, we're going to be a member of one of the three clans, and regardless of what they choose, because I think that would make a fun dynamic of like, well, I'm from the Ape Clan and I'm from the Lion Clan, and players can try and figure out what that means. Like, what does it mean to be part of the Ape Clan? And there's actually lots of resources in the Book of Planegea that will help us do that. And then they can also come out, and then I write more index cards about that, and then we link things together, and it's just kind of fun. Hunting, crafting, and trading, and then the world of Planegea, like, this is the universe in its infancy where all of the planes are kind of mashed together. You could literally walk across to the plane of whatever and things like that. And then some extra house rules. So some players who are vintage with 5e might be like, oh, I didn't know that you did that. I want to know, like, what are the rules that are part of this campaign only? And this is fun because if I was running an Eberron game, I might say everybody gets a free feat at first level because you are like heroes. You're exceptional to the world. This one, I didn't really want to do that, but I liked the idea of sundered shields. So since your shield or weapon specifically, both of those things, your equipment is so important in Planegea. There's no metal work, there's no this, like you cobble things together with bone and stone and things like that. And if somebody like if you trade your axe, you might not be able to get another one. And that's a big thing. So the idea of Sundered Shields, like when a character is wearing a non-magical shield and they're hit with a melee attack, they can choose to have the shield destroyed and take no damage. So if you're hit with, like if you get a critical and you're at the end of your life, you're like, I'm going to die if I take another hit, I can choose to have my shield shatter, and that's a very, cinematic way of doing that. And that's a huge sacrifice to lose that shield, to lose that extra 2 AC and things like that. So I like that. And then Weapon Shatter is another one that when you deal damage with a melee attack weapon, using specifically a magical weapon, you can throw all of your ferocity behind it and shatter the weapon against your enemy. And so this is, if they ever do find like magical weapons, they can kind of like ignite the magic within it. And the gods will grant magical weapons. Like, I think it'll be a little more open than I think. But then you can destroy, but your weapon becomes a critical hit. And I'm not really sure what I want to do with critical hits. If I want them to be double the dice or max damage plus the damage die. I might do that. I'm not sure. And then Blood Offering is actually something... well, Weapon Shatter and Blood Offering are from the Planegea setting. And Blood Offering is that you can roll hit dice to hurt yourself. And I also might make this like take a level of exhaustion. I'm not really sure. But as a result, you get a blessing for your next spell, which gives you advantage on the spell. And it also gives you, or it gives them disadvantage on the spell. So it kind of makes it like you really want this to hit. Morning RPG DCMA. With 5e, most classes can do any role if you include subclasses. And that's true. So you can kind of mix and match. With this, for character creation, I wanted to do subclasses that are... well, I left it pretty open. I said Tasha's, Xanathar's, or PHB plus Planegea, but only races from Planegea. So I didn't want to get some weird, I don't know, Eberron races or things like that in there. I don't want everybody being changelings. I'm not really sure, but I just liked the idea of limiting, again, to the races. And those are also like the core races. So you can be an elf or a dwarf, but you can also be kind of the special races from here. And we'll see what classes they want to play. Like, I always think it's really cool to play in... like, if somebody offered a Planegea, I would definitely pick a Planegea sub or character class. Like, I would want to play that. But we will see, because I'm sure somebody has that, like, I've always wanted to play this, Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft character. It's like, well, we can make it work, but yeah. And that was the cool thing about Planegea when he was creating it, who's David Somerville, is that he was listening to specifically the the Keith Baker Eberron podcast, Manifest Zone. And the idea of Eberron is that everything in D&D can work in Eberron, just not how you normally think about it. And I was really inspired with that with Planegea. And I feel like Wizards of the Coast, after 2024, the 50th anniversary, I'm wondering if they will move into doing more campaign settings, because I'm like, what else can you do? Like, you have to introduce mechanics that are specifically Eberron mechanics, or you have to introduce things that are specifically Dragonlance mechanics, to kind of keep the game interesting, because so many people will write their own adventures forever for it. But we all know that was also the downfall of TSR, because they printed so many Spelljammer stuff or so many Forgotten Realms stuff that consumers were like, well, I really only play in the Forgotten Realms, so I'm never going to buy all of this other Spelljammer stuff or Dragonlance stuff because I just don't care. And that turns into, that just becomes problematic. So, because you're like, what am I going to do? Oh, is that a Breath of the Wild thing? Breath of the Wild shatter. Yeah. Weapons break due to degradation. Yeah, and I didn't want it necessarily degradation. I wanted it to be like a choice that the players make, but I like that. So we have the Planegea one-pager. I sent that. Then we also have character resources. So I created this page as well, just to be like, here's what your characters can do. We're going to start at 3rd level. Characters must be one of the races in the Planegea setting, and that's dwarf, elf, halfling, human, dragonborn, gnome, half elf, or half orc, which is actually just orc, but you're using the half orc stacks. And I guess we could use orc. I don't really care. They're so similar that it doesn't really matter. You can be god marked, which is tieflings, and I would also use the angelic side, Aasimar, as well on that. So I think you could play a god marked either as tiefling or Aasimar, and I'll talk to my players about that. But it's the idea that you're somehow you're not. Your great grandfather didn't have a dealing with Mephistopheles. Instead, it's more like the gods have an interest in you and you're changed somehow. So, good morning, Gary. So, Dreas are tree people. The half-ooze I really enjoy because I like oozes. They're stretchy boys. And different from the plasmoids, but good, interesting. Plasmoids would be an interesting one to kind of put in Planegea, but maybe more as a monster. I'm not really sure. Or like a weird race that they don't understand. So, ooze. The Saurian are dinosaur people, and the Starling are like weird star people that fell from the sky. And I don't know, it just reminds me of Neil Gaiman's Stardust. So, but could be cool. And the cool thing about this is all of them can be part of the ape clan or the bear clan. Like, they're looking for survival. So it's not so much that they're, I don't know, like all the Saurans are together, although you could do that very easily. Specifically, those 3 clans I think are mostly human, but they're kind of like Baldur's Gate, Waterdeep. Like, there's lots of other people that live there. If you think of a clan as like a kingdom, and yeah, lots of funny things. Elves are from the world of Nod, which is kind of like the Feywild Shadowfell aspect of Planegea. And dwarves specifically are so set on creating things. Like, creation is a form of worship and a form of who they are. Like, it's in their genetics. And so they go around and they'll build these extravagant, like, underground temples and complexes and then just leave. They're not building them to live there. They're just building them to, like, as the form of creation is part of who we are. So they build it and leave. And that also kind of allows for a later on setting to be like, why are there so many dungeons in this world? So, Grenar, good job. Welcome. Sorry you overslept. It's all good. Backgrounds must be chosen from the Planegea setting book, which I thought would then put them into Planegea. Stats are standard array or point by, and then class options. I said player's handbook, Xanathars, and Tasha's. I don't know if they are interested in anything from that, but yeah. And then third-party character options are Planegea and the Beast Heart from MCDM, because I want to incorporate a monstrous companion. The players specifically, a couple players were just like, well, do we get dinosaur pets? Like, can I ride a dinosaur? And I was like, okay, this is something they're excited about. How can I use that? And I want them to have a raptor companion or a mastodon or something like that they can run around in. Inspirational material, Jendy Tarkovsky's Primal, which is a really great TV show, piece of art. Like, it's just awesome. I'm going to rewatch it. I need to watch 10,000 BC, but it was one of the recommended things in here, and so I thought I would give it a shot. I don't know if you guys know about the Herculoids. That was a show back in the 70s. I remember catching it on Cartoon Network, like Boomerang. And the Herculoids is, I think this is a link to a YouTube channel, yeah. So maybe I can watch a little bit of it. I don't know if it'll play.
All strong, all brave, all heroes. They're the Herculoids.
Yeah, so the Herculoids are a family that was part of Hanna-Barbera's just like line of television. And it was like a guy and a girl and the sun, and then they had like a dragon and a rock guy, but it was this weird prehistoric kind of world that they inhabited. And it's a little too sci-fi, I think, for my Planegea game, but I still really like it. So Far Cry Primal, I think, is a great aspect of this, where it's, and even now that I think about like Horizon Zero Dawn, minus the robots, but still that like otherworldly. So I am not heard of Quest for Fire, but I'll add it. So, Quest for Fire and Clan of the Cave Bear. Yeah, I'll have to check those out. And then Fire and Ice is, I think they have a Kickstarter going on right now. I saw the Professor DM was doing a bunch of promos for their Kickstarter. But Fire and Ice is actually a really interesting Ralph Bakshi movie, or his art style. I think it was the first rotoscoped movie. So, and then I have an art gallery, which is like, this is a lot of images from the Planegea book. And this is just to be like, these are the kind of things that I'm thinking of, is like giant animals. You have a dinosaur, like pack mule, weird glyph writing on walls. Not writing, I should say, but like pictograms and stuff, because writing will get you killed. Dinosaur races. And I like that these are feathered so much. I think that's really fun. And this is a really good one that I feel sums up the survival aspect of it, where this creature, this elf, is hunting this mammoth, but is also in turn being hunted above. So Princess Mononoke, really, really great too. And then this too, just like a bunch of people that's staring at the night sky, and there's long nets running around. So super fun. So We'll see. I have yet to talk. Oh, and then I said not allowed Cleric Twilight Domain. It's broken. I hate it. There might be some other things that I don't allow. I have to go through. It might just be it comes up while we play, because I haven't ran 5e in a long time. Yeah, but like maybe I don't know. We'll have to see. So with Planegea, I'm going to try out this new note card system. And I'm going to do this, I think, for a lot of stuff going forward. And if you guys missed the beginning of the show, I was talking about note cards and index cards, and how I found this video that I'll link in the show notes at the end, called the Ryan Holiday note-taking method. And Ryan Holiday is an author, and really the whole video pertains to how do you write successfully. And I was thinking about adventures and how do you write adventures. So I was watching this video, like, how do I relate this back to campaign prep and Dungeons and Dragons and things like that. A Forge Cleric, Creation Bard, yeah, maybe. Those are probably on my forbidden list too. And like Stunning Strike Monks, I don't know. Like, there's just little things that bother me a whole bunch that I need to be like, I don't like these. You're not allowed to play them. Goodbye. Because like, I don't want to fight you at the table. It's not about like you being the coolest person. And especially when I have like maybe one min-maxer, but no, everybody else is just like casually playing. So, or playing on a theme rather than this is the best thing to like take out the monster, you know? And I like that. So I'm going to take this idea of like the things that I'm reading. Oh, and I forgot to mention this book. I'm reading this book called Children of Time, and I haven't been good about reading it, so I'm still halfway through it because I get distracted by other things. But this is a very interesting book on. It is humanity has tried to create life on another planet. And they succeeded, but not the way they thought they would succeed. And they end up creating hyper intelligent spiders. And the spiders communicate so differently. And these spiders are like the size of a golden retriever. So when humans actually arrive, the spiders communicate so differently from the humans that they don't know how to talk to each other. And the majority of the book is from the reference of the spider. And it's one of those things where like the spiders are not evil, but because of how humanity evolved, we are innately scared of spiders because they are poisonous or they're venomous. Like they could hurt us. Like our instincts are to stay away from those creepy crawlies, and the spiders are just like, we've evolved to never have interacted with humans. We don't know what you are. And then the book kind of goes into this whole, like, who's the real monster? Like the thing that looks like the monster or the humans. It's a 3-part series. I'm only on the first one still, but like So good, Chef Kiss. Really, really addicted. Like, I need to finish it. I'll probably read it today because I need to just schedule time to actually read it. And I liked that idea for Planegea as well. What the gods are, not the gods, but like what is asked of you might not be the best thing for the world, but maybe it's the best thing for you, is kind of an idea. The reason I said gods is there's a god on the cover here, but also the gods are very selfish and controlling. So the ape god here, he might like be controlling the ape clan and pushing them in a direction that doesn't really benefit the people, but benefits him. And if it benefits him, he will be like, well, it also benefits you in this way, but like, who's the real invaders then? Is it the ape clan? We're just trying to survive. We're doing what our god wants, but it's like, you're being used in a way. That was another aspect that I kind of wanted to touch on, and we'll see how it works out. But yeah, that's the idea, is that they're going to go here. They're going to go down. Oh, I want to talk to you guys about Stone Age Adventures. Threats. Is this what I wanted? I have to look at my notes. Oh, yes. So there are these creatures called the Kelodros. I think Kelodros. So the Kelodros Ascendant, they're kind of like the Greys from Dungeon Crawl Classics, Umerica, which are aliens. Like, they're the gray, big-eyed aliens. And reading this, I don't really like that, but they have this thing called the Embrace, where these weak little gray alien creatures find a stronger creature, and they do a ceremony called the Embrace, where they basically like merge with it, or they take on the genetic aspects of it to make themselves stronger. And I think there's some pictures here. Yeah, so here's a little like gray guy. And then here is that same gray guy after embracing a bear or a sloth. This is probably like a giant sloth bear thing. And they look weird. They're like you could totally human, what was the movie The Fly, where they're like half fly, or I'm thinking of the de-evolving episode of Star Trek The Next Generation, where Barclay is like half spider. Like, they kind of look like that. And I was like, well, I don't know if I really like that aspect, but I've been playing a lot of Baldur's Gate 3, and so the idea of the Mind Flayers and the Tadpoles came into my idea. And I'm also reading the Monster Overhaul. Sorry, it's down here, you can't see it, but which is a monster book for the OSR that is really awesome, because it takes regular monsters and then there's a bunch of ways to make them more interesting. One of the things in that book was saying is that you could, what happens when you kill this monster? And so when you kill the bear because it was attacking you, you're like, wow, that was a tough fight. And then all of a sudden, out of the bear's neck crawls this like worm parasite. And it was actually that parasite that was controlling him. And so that, with the Mind Flayer Tadpoles, got me thinking about having parasites. And this creature, talking about taking a campaign setting and make it your own, I want the Kelodros to kind of be like baby Mind Flayers in a way. And in this book, they're not necessarily evil. You can kind of talk about them. They could be evil, but they're not, I don't know. Evil is so back and forth. Like, everything's just trying to survive right now is really what it is. But with specifically, I'm going to have the Kelodros be those parasites, or they reproduce by putting these parasites. So my campaign so far is that the three clans, the Bear Clan, Ape Clan, and Lion Clan, are getting together to understand what is happening to the herds of dinosaurs. Something's going on with them. They're either acting in a strange behavior or something's going on. And then when they go out and they kind of investigate that, they're going to find, oh, there's these parasites that are inside of them. We don't know where they are. They report back. Then the idea is like, we have to go investigate what's happening there. They start finding these like half changed creatures because of the parasites, and that's the Kelladros. And then the Kelladros discover like, oh, there's like sentient creatures here. We could also absorb them. We have to work against topics. I'm crazy. Yeah, crazy worms controlling people. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. Sultron, the movie slash back. Is that slash back or just slash back? That's a good question. So I want to do something like that. And then I just like the idea of, you know, they don't have the resources to go understand what this thing is. Like, they can cut it open, but they're not going to have, even in Forgotten Realms, I feel like there's enough medicine that people could be like, oh yeah, that's a mind flare tadpole. Like, I want this to be kind of the unknown. Oh, that's a great question, Grenar. If you guys are, or a great point, if you guys are interested in this, go to the Jocular Junction Discord and in the YouTube chat area, post some of these links about like trailers to the movies and stuff that you were talking about. I would love to check these out. I'm probably going to forget a lot of them. I wrote down some of them, but that would be a great place for us to kind of look at some of the themes of this. So, and then also I have, through just playing online a lot, I've decided I don't really like streaming because the performance aspect of it can be fun, but it is stressful sometimes. But I do want to play this and then do a campaign, what do they call it? Like a review, I guess. Like, I want to talk about like a session. Like, I'm just going to summarize my session and be like, this is what happened and this is what I thought was cool about it. And this is the direction I'm going to go in it. So, but yeah, I think these are going to be the threat. And then it's going to culminate into kind of a weird guy that has absorbed a bunch of people. And maybe it's also absorbed the next bigger threat. Or I was thinking of having the actual big bad threat be the mind flare tadpole that got too big. I don't even know let me look at that one. I'm going to go to my other window here and see if I could find the... what is that called? That mind flare tadpole on D&D Beyond. D&D Beyond, everybody. Totally helping us out. Sources. Game rules. Collections. Nope. Marketplace. Tools. Encounters. Encounters. Mind flare. Oh, what do they call it? There's a Yuan-Ti mind flare? Do you guys know what I'm talking about? The big mind flare worm. I don't know what it's called off the top of my head. Oh, man. It's gargantuan, though. If I just search by size. Oh, and it would be an aberration. I guess I can do the filters. This makes for great content, guys. So good for you. Underdark. Ah, the Neothalid. There we go. I should have looked at chat. You guys had it. I'm so sorry. Yeah. So this might be too strong. Let's see. What's the challenge rating? 13. I think this could be a great end boss game, or end big bad evil guy at the end. And I'll make it a little more sentient than it is here. But boy, I like this idea of this being like the actual thing that they create or go at the end. So this could be a lot of fun. And I think this is an interesting monster to, maybe this is what happens to the Kelladros after they've ascended too much, or they've absorbed too much genetic material or something like that. So Yeah, and I don't know. I kind of like this, and they could meet some interesting people. Maybe these guys actually. I had the fun idea of someone from the clan being like, "There's something wrong with my brother," and he's just like, "There's nothing wrong with me. My sister's crazy. I need you guys to let me go." And they're like, "No, he's acting different." And it turns out that he actually has a parasite in his head. And when they kill him, kind of like the Thing style, like when they actually take him out, they're just like, "Oh my gosh, he was a parasite. Could anybody be a parasite?" It'd be kind of cool. So create a funnel situation. Yeah, could be kind of interesting. So that's what I'm working on. I realized that I like to run a lot of pre-written adventures. I haven't created a lot of stuff on my own. And there's a fun writing aspect to it. But I think this note card system is going to help me create my own adventures in the future. And I think I will have like a fun mind box of information to pull from for writing and other things in the future. So, yeah, I don't know. It's been fun. I've been working with Lex on a project called the Battle Cubes. He wanted to write an adventure for his 5B system. And so I was helping him with some of that, with some of the random tables and stuff. And it's just really interesting. Ooh, throw in an Etten Ceramorph in your party. That's kind of cool. But it's funny, I was talking to Lex too, and he's like, I like running adventures that are made. So there's a whole group of us out there that like to run pre-written adventures. There's something, and I don't run them like by the book. Like I'm going through Perils of the Purple Planet right now. We played last Sunday, and that campaign has changed a lot based on what the characters are doing and things that I'm like, I don't really want to deal with this, so we're going to do this. But that's the beauty of it, is like I have this template, this skeleton, and Planegea is really, really good about that. One final thing before I think I take off, because I feel like I'm just reiterating myself over and over again, is that with Planegea, or with campaign settings in general, I was listening to Between Two Cairns podcast, which is by far a better podcast than this one. You should go check it out. But they were saying they don't necessarily review campaign settings. They just review adventures. And that's because campaign settings are so... they're not an adventure that you're like, you can kind of pick apart, like this worked or this doesn't work when you're adventuring it, because it is this idea, this playground that you get to play with. And that can be poorly written or like better written, but the idea is hard to, like, what am I to say? Like a prehistoric D&D, like that sounds like a dumb idea. Well, yeah, if it's written poorly, you're kind of like, I don't know, but like the idea could be really cool either way. D&D in space, like you say that and people are just like, whoa, what does that mean? But then the campaign setting, you're like, I don't know, but you can, I just thought that was kind of interesting. And they were even saying, on the Between Two Cairns podcast, that like a lot of both of them just like to read campaign settings for fun, because you can get a lot out of the factions and the different, the history and how everything interacts. Like what makes this point in time interesting to play a campaign. So, yeah. In the news, I should say in the news of Dungeons & Dragons and various other RPGs, there is the Phandalin, the Shattered Obelisk is coming out very soon. Phandalin, Shattered Obelisk. So Phandelver, Phandelver and Below, the Shattered Obelisk. It is coming out soon. I don't have a preview copy, but I wish I did, because it has lots of stuff. I will say that I think, and I was going to talk about this with Lucian on the next time he's able to be on the show, but I feel like they dropped the ball with this, because the Shattered Obelisk, and maybe we'll see more in 2024 about the obelisks, but like they set up all of this netherese kind of what have you, and then this is not involving Vecna from what I've seen. They're kind of just like, yeah, no, these obelisks are here and we're going to gather parts of them and try to rebuild this obelisk. And there's like a mind flare thing. So it feels like, kind of feels like Descent into Avernus, where Descent into Avernus was a pretty cool adventure that they forced to have it be in Baldur's Gate to have a video game tie-in. And this is like we're forcing the mind flares onto this obelisk netherese thing we created to kind of to tie in with the video game. I could be wrong. I don't know. We'll see. There's a lot of references to Avernus in Baldur's Gate 3. And so maybe that was on purpose while they were kind of combining the two. So we'll see. But the alternate cover to the Shattered Obelisk is really cool. So there's that. And I think that if I do pick it up, I want to go pick up that. I'm not sure if I'll run it. I don't know, but I really want it. But regardless, I do have early access on D&D Beyond. I'll be reading through it, and then I'll probably make my next Obelisk conspiracy video, which is less fun now because it's not a conspiracy. It's just straight up like we've been planning this. So lots of Far Realm stuff, which the Far Realm's cool. I think my Parasite things will be from the Far Realm section of Planegea, which is probably going to be the Underdark. Like the further below you go, the more you get into where the Far Realm actually starts. So, but yeah, that cover is super dope. Thank you guys again. If you want to follow on the Discord and ask questions and stuff, I'll try to answer things there. I'm really excited about Planegea. I don't know when we're going to start, but it's probably going to be on a, I think we're going to do like a Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon campaign or a Sunday morning campaign, just because of schedules and childcare. It's hard for me to it's really difficult to just get 3 hours to play a game that coincides with the availability of all of my friends to come over and play a game. But my game room is coming along nicely. I am going to get some more lumber to build the shelves that I want on the back wall, and it should be fun. Thank you guys for watching. Thanks so much for hanging out. I know this is kind of funny because it's a solo show, but I really appreciate you guys coming out and chatting with me. And all the podcast listeners, thank you guys so much. I will check you guys later. And I'll see you guys all in the next episode. So take care.